Hello, I'm Hope Witkowsky. On today's show on Senior Scene, you're going to find out it is never too late to explore a second career, no matter your age or your experience. Today's show will inspire you to maybe find that encore career. Pat Wren is a 63-year-old who spent 28 years working for the Pacific Telephone Company. He started there in 1971 after he returned home from his tour of duty as an Air Force pilot in the United States military.
I actually served just over 3 years. I was brought home early. My father was diagnosed with cancer, and I was identified at that time to be head of household, so I was brought home early, given an honorable discharge, and kind of took charge of the family.
Pat took whatever job he could get upon return from the important work he had in the Air Force flying to Guam and delivering cargo.
I had kind of like picked up my old job, which is at good old Gene Shell gas station at Rosecrans and Van Ness, and Gene rehired me as soon as I got home. And knowing that I'm not going to be able to retire from Gene Shell, I don't think there was that much of a retirement in that business, I started thinking about what I wanted to do. My mom at the time was working at El Camino College Library, and a lady comes in and was one of my mom's regular customers. She happened to be an employment recruiter with Pacific Telephone at the time. And my mom got to talking to her. She says, why don't you give your son my business card, and we might have a job for him. And I looked into it, and within probably 6 months I was hired into Pacific Telephone under my first assignment, which was, I think I was a systems operator.
It didn't take long for Pat to climb the ladder in his career at the phone company. He started as a systems operator to a material logistics.
In 1998, I decided to hang it up, and I'd done enough. I'd seen just about a good majority of the departments in the company, and at that time we were called Pacific Bell, and soon to be Southern Bell Communications. So I left right when the changeover happened in '98.
Something would start to happen to Pat after he had become what many can't wait to be called retired. He had too much free time. He loved music and joined a newly formed band as their drummer.
I've played drums since I was 11 years old. Wasn't as skilled as maybe I am right now, but I will never ever forget, I believe it was 1963, Ed Sullivan Show on Sunday night when the Beatles came in and made history. I sat there that night watching Ringo, as many drummers have said this same thing, and I knew I would play drums until I can't play anymore. And played drums and got into like high school groups and played parties and things like that. And then right before I retired back in 1991, I went back and I studied reading, writing, transcription, which for me took music and just exploded it, because now that you have that knowledge, you're able to see notes, see how things are cut out for songs. And what happened was one day the guitar pro in the studio stepped out, and he asked me, he says, hey Pat, I've got 3 guys that I'm coaching. Have you ever thought about getting back into a band? I think about that every day, yeah. And he says, let me have one of my guys call you. And about a week later, our band organizer right now, his name is Paul, he called me and he says, hey, this is my name. I got another guy that I know. Would you like to get together just to see what we could do? And they came over to my house. It was a hot April day. And we sat in my studio, and we banged out about 3 good old surfer tunes from the 60s and looked at each other and we just said, this might work. And we recruited a bass player. We played for probably 7 to 10 months. We finally said, well, we're a band, what should we call ourselves? And Paul says, hey, why don't we call ourselves the Vipers?
Pat also had some friends from high school who were in the Torrance Police Department. They got him a volunteer position recruiting volunteers, which then turned into a real job as the administrator of our animal control operations. Hi, we're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we're going to find out what Pat has done for his Encore career.
One of my biggest passions in life is animals. That's why I've worked with Morris Animal Foundation for over 40 years. Morris Animal Foundation is a world leader in helping animals live longer, healthier lives. Like my favorite, dogs, of course. Well, maybe kitty cats are the best. I also like horses. Some of my best friends are apes. Elephants. Elephants are so wonderful. And who wouldn't want to cuddle up with a tiger? Who am I kidding? I love them all. The point is, Morris Animal Foundation is giving animals a healthier tomorrow. You can too. Just show your support at morrisanimalfoundation.org. It's all about a healthier tomorrow. And at my age, I'm all about that.
To help cats, dogs, horses, and wildlife live healthier lives, visit morrisanimalfoundation.org, where we are advancing science that will create a healthier tomorrow for animals.
Welcome back. Encore careers can occur at any age. Pat Wren never thought he would be where he is today.
After being part of the volunteer program and seeing what goes on inside the police department, I had a thought that, boy, if I could work here, this would do it. And it happened. You know, I was hired into the records division where I did an imaging project, did that for a few years, moved on to research and training where I did research for weapons of mass destruction. I was in on the cutting edge of them building the animal control operation. And after building that, I was asked to be the administrator of that operation. Did that for 7 years. And lo and behold, another thing happened with the restructure of the department with budgets and stuff. They civilianized some uniform positions. I was offered one, and that position is a background investigator, which I'm doing today, which, you know, you wake up every day and you just can't wait to get to work. It's a dream job. It's just an absolute blast to come to work and deal with people and get them hired.
More and more seniors are experiencing reinventing themselves in Encore careers. Helen Dennis, a nationally recognized leader on issues of aging, employment, and the new retirement, and she is a columnist for the Daily Breeze, talks with us about this new phenomena.
We are actually in a new time when we talk about retirement. Years ago, when someone retired, they were very happy to be what I would call on the periphery of life. To play golf, to be with family, to be with grandchildren, and that was considered a fulfilling retirement. Now today, for many people, that still is a fulfilling retirement. But we have a whole new wave of people coming through who say, you know, I want more. We now have a generation that's retiring that what I call is looking for the peak experience. They're not ready to be on the periphery, and they feel they have a lot of life to live. And they do have a lot of life to live because of increased life expectancy. Because women at 65 can expect to live at least 20 more years, men about 17. And that's just average.
Pat is a wonderful example of what Helen is talking about. He loves getting up in the morning to go to work. He says it's better than any other work he has done.
One of the new movements, if you will, is the whole topic of an Encore career. And you might wonder, why is it happening now and it didn't happen 20 years ago? And part of that reason is that one of the things we know about boomers is that they are looking for purpose and passion and fulfillment. So now they have lived a life of a successful career. They have their family. They've done some community volunteer work. And they ask the question, what's next? And so this is a generation, not in general, and of course there are exceptions to this, that is looking for that next challenge, that next peak experience, the next piece that says, I'm important, I have something to contribute, I want to make a difference.
This job isn't about money. I mean, I get a paycheck, which is great, and I love it, but it's just really about the work and working the flow of dealing with the people and getting people hired.
In Pat's job as a background investigator for the Torrance Police Department, he looks at every aspect of an applicant's life, not only looking at the application, but actually going to where they live and knocking on the doors and asking neighbors questions about them. You can tell by the energy in his voice how much he thinks about the work he does.
One of the last things that we do during the background investigation process, because now we've collected a lot of data about our applicants, the folder's getting pretty thick, and we're getting to the point that we're probably going to offer this person what is called a conditional job offer. The icing on the cake is we will actually go out to the neighborhood where that individual lives, and we will go to the neighbors on either side of that applicant's house, and we will talk to them about the characteristics of this individual. Are they a nice person? Do they have a lot of parties? Do you see a lot of drug activity? I mean, are the cops always over there? And then we'll go to 3 neighbors across the street. So we go out and actually do physical door knocks and talk to the neighbors just to find out a little bit more about this applicant.
You may be asking, how would I get started looking for my Encore career? What do I have to offer? Will I be looked at by an employer as being too old to hire? Helen gives us some ideas on how you can get started.
I would start talking and start thinking about what is exciting for me. What would make a day worthwhile? If I had the most perfect world, what would that day be like? The other thing is, look around you to people whom you admire that say, you know, that job, that looks like a fabulous job. Maybe I want to be a producer. I want to learn to be a producer of a cable show. What do I need to learn to do that? That looks like a lot of fun. And then be willing to say, I'll learn what I need to learn to do it. Because that transition usually involves some kind of new learning, which is a big plus, because one of the things we know about aging is that learning anything new creates new neural pathways in our brain. So not only is it fun and terrific, it's also good for our aging brains.
Little did I know that Helen was giving you an example of my life. Like Pat, I retired but really wasn't ready. So here I am, the producer and writer of this show that you're looking at. It's never too late to reinvent yourself.
Grandma Moses did not start painting at the age of, she started painting in later life. A lot of artists find their niche later in life. Gene Cohen, who passed away a number of years ago, was a psychiatrist at George Washington University, did a lot of work on creativity and age. And he said, you know, age brings another dimension to creativity. And the creative people may not produce as much in later life, but it may be their best work.
Think you learned something new about retirement? I hope Pat's story inspired you to think about your Encore career. I'm Hope Witkowsky again, reminding you that knowledge is a powerful tool. Tune in next time for more secrets on successful aging.